the 3 or 4 people I would have actually had after him would have all been historical defensive people.
Defensive players. Yep. Desmond Howard is even like kind of like he was a hybrid. He's kind of like Jabril Peppers.
Yeah, as a pure receiver, I would personally have to choose Super Bowl champion Mario Manningham.
No love for Amani Toomer.
Yeah.
But we didn't grow up on him like you, Jay. Mike wasn't born yet. I was like 2, and John was like DMA.
Yeah, buddy, we're back again for another episode. Bros, I can't believe it's almost December, but happy Thursday to Cinco Squad, episode 87. Looking forward to another great episode. With me are my brothers, Trey Day, Mike A, Grandpa J, and I'm Jonathan Sawyer. Fellas, fly Eagles fly, go blue. Let's get it. Come on, let's get it. Let's get it. Come on, let's go. We're doing well. We're doing well, right? We're all doing no?
I didn't know sports.
Oh, okay. All right. So solo.
Yeah.
How's your sports weekend going so far? Or sports week, I should say. I know Jamie's hyped.
Splendid.
Jamie couldn't wait to call me last night and say, man, stop talking about my Kentucky, man. Stop talking bad about my Kentucky Wildcats. Cut that shit out of here. You Kentucky Wildcats put a hammering on the Miami Hurricanes.
Bro, that kid Shepard's the real deal, man. He could shoot it like I haven't seen out in Lexington in a long time. We're talking back in the days of like Scott Pageant days when they were just stroking.
Good pull.
He was physical too. I was flipping back and forth between that and Syracuse against LSU, which my boys got the big dub. But yeah, they were just rolling Miami. And I don't know if it was just Miami had a bad game or Kentucky is just that good.
Well, right? So what they've said they're doing really well is that they're playing at pace, but they're making the easy play every time. So they're not playing at pace where they're wild north, just going towards the rim and just frantically or frenetically trying to find a kick out. Everybody's spacing well. In fact, we had more assists than Miami had field goals in the second half. So that kind of is a telling story of a young team that can move the ball well. And legit, we have 5 shooters on the floor at any time. So the defense just does this once we start hitting shots, and the zone looks like it's a freaking airport runway. So,
well, there's one thing that I noticed, and in college basketball, I was listening to one Eric Devendorf when he was calling a Syracuse game, and he said a lot of these kids that are point guards now aren't point guards; they're shooting guards. They shouldn't be handling the ball. The reason why is because when they take the ball up the court, and I'm sure Trey, you notice this in the NBA. There's a lot of guys that they dribble without a purpose, right? When they cross that half-court line, they don't have a purpose in what they're looking to do, right? So when I look at the college game, you got to have the guy that's a facilitator that knows 3 things that he's going to shoot, he's going to pass, or he's putting up a play, right? Like there's always something that the facilitator has to do, right? So, I think at this point in college basketball season with teams in the transfer portal, you need that facilitator for sure.
Listen up. It's never too early to get fresh. We got a promotion here. It's done with a group called Fans Idea. They make dope jerseys, just like this one you see right here. You can customize the jerseys, get your own type of logo, maybe do something for the family, for a family reunion. Just get fresh. They do jerseys, hats, T-shirts, shirts, whatever you need, they got it. That's where you need to go. But use that Cinco Squad link, Cinco Squad 10. It'll get you 10% off. So go ahead, click that link.
That's right. ShankIt Golf's in the house. Got this swaggy ass hat. Got dope ass polos, bags, golf balls, golf tees, anything you can think golf, they have it. Make sure you go get yours today and get yourself 15% off with Cinco Squad discount code. That's Cinco Squad. Make sure you guys go get yours today. Tee them up and let us know what you think. Our facilitator, Mikey Mike, always facilitates us what's on his mind every single week. So, Mike, take it away with what's on your mind.
Just getting nothing but assists. So, speaking of which, it's actually a good transition because this involves college basketball, but you got to keep it true to myself. So it also involves a little bit of baseball. That may sound like an odd combination, but for one man at least, it's not. So I think you guys did know this, but not everybody knows this. So let me check. Do you guys know that Tony Gwynn played college basketball at a Division I level?
No.
He did. Played at San Diego State. Mr. Tony Gwynn, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest hitters of all time, ahead of Mike's mind, if you guys go back into the archives, I had Mike's mind about him and his strikeouts. Well, I got another one because Tony Gwynn's strikeout numbers still continue to amaze me. And that's Tony Gwynn, who also played at San Diego State, played college basketball as a point guard, had more assists in his college basketball career in 4 years in college basketball than total career strikeouts in his MLB career.
Wow.
How many assists?
He had 596 assists for San Diego State in 4 years.
Okay.
And finished his MLB career, which I want to say was upwards of 20 years, with 434. He had over 100 more assists.
That's crazy.
Again, I said this the last time with the Smoltz, Glavin, Maddox, and Pedro strikeout fact about Tony Gwynn. If Tony Gwynn is not in your all-time best hitters in MLB history, then there is something wrong.
You know what's funny is that stat that you said before that you did before from what's on Mike's mind.
Yeah.
I actually heard Fox doing it, so I was like, copyright. You stole our Mike's mind.
Mike had it
first.
Well, technically, John Smoltz had it first, and then I it.
No, but we
Works for them, so they.
I guess they broadcasted too. But I was just like,
Thinking,
hey, give me some credit here.
Give a little bit of credit, yeah. But yeah, so I heard that earlier in the week, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I may have heard that early in the week, but you know what I want to hear now? Jamie's Locks of the Week. Jay,
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Locks of the Week. Last week, 3-2. We had a little bit of a rough patch to start the week, but we ended really strong. I did think that Tottenham Hotspur got robbed. If they didn't get robbed, I think it would have been a nice 4-1 week. However, we just kind of roll with the punches and say, hey, we'll just take what we can get. In fact, sorry, we're 2-3 because Tottenham got robbed. We should have been 3-2 and had a winning record. Never really seen a game where they called offsides 3 separate times and they were goals scored each time, where at least 2 of those times it didn't look like offsides. Hence why they're trying to change that rule. And look out for an episode where I might talk about this new Arsene Wenger rule that he's trying to have FIFA implement, which is going to make the game flow better, make it more exciting for the fans. Because what do we want? Gola, 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 gola. All right, but it is championship week, so let us move forward here. And college football is where we are going to stay for the Power 5 championship game. So let's get us started on Friday night. Pac-12 championship game. That's going to be out in Vegas. And who is going to step up? Which Heisman quarterback or which potential Heisman quarterback is going to step up and win this game? Everybody thinks it's Bo Nix right now because, hey, Oregon is actually 9.5-point favorites. Since when did the higher seed decide that they're going to roll over and just give up an opportunity to play in the college football playoff? I don't think the Huskies roll over and lose this game by double digits. I love the 9.5. I do think the Huskies have a late surge, but Oregon ends up winning by 3. Then we move on to Saturday, Big 12 talk in Arlington, Texas, one of the hottest teams in the country. Texas taking on Oklahoma State, who barely squeaked their way in there. I would have loved to see a rematch with Oklahoma, but it's going to be Oklahoma State, and they are not going to compete with this Texas team. Right now, Texas are 15.5-point favorites. They will win this game easily by 17. I can see them winning by 24 as well, but they're definitely covering 15.5. Take Texas and take them to cover the 15.5. Then it's time to come down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the dirty, dirty South. We got another rematch. It's the Bama-Georgia affair once again. This one is a juicy one because there's a lot of talk of, will Georgia get kicked out of the playoffs if Bama wins this game? It ain't happening, but something to really, really pay attention to is, will Bowers play in this game? And that might determine whether or not Georgia does cover the 5.5. If he plays, Georgia wins by a touchdown. If he doesn't, maybe some of that magic Alabama had last week against Auburn, poor Auburn fans. You could see just the look of dread on their face. But what a play by their quarterback to get the ball in the back of the end zone and help them win that game. I don't think lightning strikes twice anyway, so give me that 5.5. I'm taking Georgia to cover. Then our night games. We're going to go to North Carolina and with me at Bank of America Stadium, actually, where the Florida State Noles with backup sensation, not so much in that Florida game, but can Roadmaker make it happen one more time for the Noles? I'll tell you what, it's not going to be their offense. It's going to be their defense. They have a great pass rush. and they are a second half team. Louisville looked like garbage against my Kentucky Wildcats last week. Kentucky ran all over them. If FSU was smart, they would have a game plan here where they're going to try and run the ball just as much as they're going to pass the ball. Don't let Roadmaker make mistakes. Just win the game and find your way as the number 4 seed into the CFP. So I'm taking the points. I love FSU. It's only 2.5 right now. I think they at least win this game by a field goal. And nightcap, even though the game's on at the same time, we have to go with John's boys. I mean, even if Michigan played their backups, they would cover the 21.5 that they're favored by. I definitely see this as a 38-6 sort of game. I only see this being 38-10 if Michigan pulls everybody in the fourth quarter and Iowa has an early field goal and somehow they manage to find the end zone. And that's probably going to be because of a defensive play that gives them a short field. And when I say short field, I'm talking like 5 yards in front of the end zone because this offense cannot move the ball against this Michigan defense. So championship weekend in college football. Here's who you got to go with. You got to go ahead and take the Huskies at 9.5. Take Texas to cover 15.5. Make sure you take them dogs at 5.5. Even if Bowers doesn't play, I think they hold off Bama. You got to love FSU because that defense is for real. They're going to cover 2.5. And then John's boys, shit, if it was 31.5, I would still take Michigan. It's only 21.5. Big Blue to cover. That, ladies and gentlemen, are your Power 5 plays of the week. It's a lock. Put them in. Let us know you won. Buy us some studio equipment. All right, so you guys want to know where the magic comes from when it comes to how I pick games? Well, sometimes it's universal intervention, and here's what I mean by that. So yesterday I'm doing some work, and I take a little break, and all of a sudden I look down at my phone, and on the phone's screen it says 222 with 22% battery. I'm thinking to myself, 222, what's the significance of all these twos? Well, if you guys follow college basketball, last night in Rupp Arena, Kentucky hands it to Miami in the second half. Diaper Dandies looking great there on the court at Rupp Arena, and Kentucky's really rolling here. Other than the fact that my man Austin Reeves is wearing number 22, we beat Miami by 22. Second largest margin of victory in the John Calipari era against a top 10 team. In case you guys didn't realize, Kentucky was ranked 12th, Miami was ranked 8th. It's a big top 10 win for a young team. But in looking at my phone that day, I figured, well, I don't know if I had the chance if I wouldn't have taken Kentucky by 22, but maybe telltale signs of the universe was trying to tell me something. But that's not even the best thing I saw yesterday. On SportsCenter, all of a sudden, I'm seeing this Lady Trojan balling out by the name of Juju Watkins, number 12. Let's get to know who this girl is. Reminiscent of Cheryl Miller, who made the game look really easy, a lot bigger than her. She's 6'2". Cheryl Miller was somewhere in the range of 6'5", 6'6". Juju Watkins can do it all. Right now, she's averaging 27 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2 steals, and almost a block and a half. She's doing it all. You see her fading away, holding that shot up in the air. She has every move. She can shoot from outside. Silky smooth. Love her game. I think that's a name we're going to get to know as the college basketball season goes on. She may be one of the better women that people aren't talking about right now because we know most of that attention is going towards LSU, some of the bigger teams in the SEC and South Carolina that we've come to know and love. But USC female Trojan basketball is back thanks to Juju Watkins. You guys keep a radar on her. I know she's going to be on everybody's screens because she's going to have highlight after highlight. And this is one female basketball player that I would definitely pay the big ticket for to go watch play because not only does she make the game look easy, she's silky smooth, and I love silky smooth players.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And go blue. Go blue. Go blue. Trey, you want to say it?
Yeah.
Guys,
no, I gotta give a shout out to Trey. He was a good sport about it. He did his bet, and shout out to Charles Woodson for collabing with us. Yeah. Charles, we will be trying your whiskey on our podcast here next week. I'm gonna try to get everyone a bottle so we can all try it. I'll take a shot for you for collaborating with us. Appreciate it. Before we get
to all the people that said it was a cop out too.
Yeah,
it was a cop out. But if there's a cop out, I'm willing to challenge anybody who thinks it's a cop out to place the same bet with me next year, and you can tell me your favorite that year Ohio State player since they wanted it to be that specific team. The truth is, I could give you a list of Michigan people that I respected, and it's not to knock this set of Michigan people, but Charles Woodson is an all-time legend. I don't look at J.J. McCarthy doesn't have that effect on me the way Charles Woodson. I didn't watch J.J. McCarthy and say, "Damn, I wish he played Ohio State." Maybe y'all want me to think that, but no. I mean, anybody could play better than Kyle McCord did. It took Mike at quarterback over Kyle McCord.
I'm sneaky good. I'm sneaky good.
Mike,
I'm
I think
sneaky
I would
good.
definitely take
Mike's a
Mike over Kyle
gunslinger.
McCord. And, yeah, if we had Mike starting at quarterback instead of Kyle McCord, we probably win that game.
I'm small, but I'm like a Doug Flutie.
Ryan Day, he has all of his eligibility.
It's true. I do have all my eligibility.
Apparently now it don't matter. You can go get there was a guy that plays for Virginia. He served the country, went to go be an Army Ranger or Navy SEAL or whatever, and then came back, and now he's a kicker for Virginia. He's 34 years old.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm like, oh, okay, well, Mike, we're going to start training here next week, and Ryan Day is going to recruit you. But yes, I didn't understand that either because we put out the clip before saying specifically that it could be any player, present or past. It doesn't matter. And honestly, if I were to go, if I was going to have to go, mine would have been Malcolm Jenkins because he played for my Birds, won us that Super Bowl. So, I would have picked Malcolm Jenkins. If that was a cop out, I don't know what would be. So, I mean, you could have picked Eddie George, any of those guys, right? But I give Trey a lot of credit. I know that took a lot out of you to do that, but especially right after the game. So I appreciate that. Yep. And Seawood's one of the best safety of all time. So come on now.
Michigan's such a perennial defensive team, right? You figure most of who you're going to stand at is going to be, who's that best receiver ever? Braylon Edwards. You know what I mean?
Braylon. I would
have guys who stand out like that.
Donovan, maybe Donovan People-Jones.
And I wouldn't have picked any. If you told me to pick
Mario Manningham, maybe
the 3 or 4 people I would have actually had after him would have all been historical defensive people,
defensive players. Yeah. Desmond Howard is even he was a hybrid. He's kind of like Jabril Peppers.
Right.
He played
Peppers
everything.
would have actually been one of my top 2 or 3. Actually,
his energy was unreal.
I would say receiver as far as all around, it would probably be Desmond Howard, just because of all the different things he did. But as a pure receiver, I would personally have to choose Super Bowl champion Mario Manningham.
I would say Braylon as much as I could.
No love for Monty Toomer.
Yeah, but we didn't grow up on him like you, Jay. Mike wasn't born yet. I was 2, and John was being made.
Awkward. But before we get into our first topic, I kind of want to go over a little bit of the college football rankings, just a little bit, not too long. But I don't understand. They are so fucking hot on Alabama, guys, and it's so fucking annoying. How are they going to jump 4 spots? I don't understand how they're going to jump 4 spots with a win. Every scenario would have to be everybody ahead of them would have to lose, and Ohio State's ahead of them. They can't lose. So if every team loses, shouldn't Ohio State get in? I just don't
have the notable win against the best team in the nation. I mean, that's what they're going to reward. We all know that the best teams don't get in because the committee are prisoners of the moment.
Yeah, so my thought is in Paul Feinbaum, the SEC, Jamie's best friend in the SEC. He hangs out with him every single day. They talk, have coffee, everything.
Talk about Nick Saban.
They were saying how if Bama and Texas win and the rest of the teams lose, let's just say Michigan wins and whatnot, Washington wins, then Texas gets jumped by Alabama because they beat the number 1. I said, that is the most – he goes, the tiebreaker of Texas beating Alabama doesn't mean as much as you think. I was like, how does that – why play them? Why play them?
Why take the risk of schedule?
Why? I'm just baffled. I'm like, they literally have the tiebreaker set. Texas is in just by the tiebreaker.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a neutral site win. They won on the road, which made
Alabama
and kick their ass.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Yes, it's completely stupid and it makes no sense. But unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be. Yep. If Bama beats Georgia by any score, they're going to be 4. They will be 4.
Well, I know Trey alluded to this last year, and he said it has to be the 4 best teams. 4 best teams. In my opinion, 4 best teams, it's Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Washington. Those are the 4 best teams in the country.
But you're not going to get the 2 Pac-12 teams in.
You're not going to get 2.
Well, now when they play each other twice already.
Yeah. And Oregon has
they
a loss.
Play each other twice.
Yeah. Correct. So Oregon would have
Texas in there over Washington right now.
Yeah. Oregon would have to beat Washington to even have like the consideration. But yeah, you're right. But as we talk about conference championship weekend this weekend, brings us into our first topic of what should be the incentive next year when we go to 12 teams for the conference championship. It just seems like a waste of a week because realistically, Ohio State is getting an extra week off for this year to just chill, get their guys healthy, and most likely they're going to be 5-8, right? And hear my analogy out, right? Jamie, you and I were talking about this the other night. Is 1 through 4 gets a bye week, right? 5 through 8 gets the home. Wouldn't you want to be the 5 through 8 because you actually get a home field advantage in your first game? Then you build up momentum going into the next round, which you're playing the top team. So if you're 1 through 4, you really aren't having an advantage there because you don't get a home field advantage. You got to travel. You got to go on the road. You got to go deal with all the other bullshit. Like Ohio State this year would have to go play in the shoe, regain momentum, regain everything.
Well, there's one correction there. If this was next year, Ohio State would play Michigan again this week. Because remember, they're going away from divisions. We would have been the top 2 teams at that rematch. We would have been the big.
Oh, they are going away from division, aren't they?
Yeah, you guys would be playing again
right now in Indianapolis again because
I was so confused.
A rematch, right?
So okay, so
I was telling you what's the significance of playing twice in a row? It really kills the vibe.
I was so confused by what you were saying, Jamie, because I'm like, well, yeah, we can play each other in the playoff, but I thought I didn't know we were going
to play each other in the playoff on top of that.
Yep.
So maybe might have been 3 times.
Yep.
And then
3 times in 6 weeks.
Michigan, hypothetically, say Michigan won last week, we won this week. Now we're both in the playoff, and then we possibly fuck around playing the second round against each other again. Right. Just to do this again.
So what is the incentive for playing in the conference championship when we go to 12 teams? Because it doesn't really matter, especially if you're undefeated. Like Louisville, they're out of it, right? They're pretty much done. They probably could play for the 12 spot, but not really. There's probably going to be teams that are 1 loss. What is the point, Mike?
So honestly, I think the point of it would be, and I don't know. This is my suggestion of how they should do this to make the conference championship mean more. You treat it a little like March Madness, winning a conference tournament, auto bid. So if you're a Louisville who maybe is hoping that even with a loss they can get into 11 or 12, well, okay, we've got a chance that if we can somehow beat Florida State this week, we're automatically in. There is no whether we've got 3 losses. I mean, we talked about it last week. Going to see a lot more 2 and 3 loss teams potentially, depending on how things shake out. A 4-loss team at like 12. Okay, let's say we're Louisville. We go into this game with 3 or 4 losses. All right, cool. If we can find a way to scratch out a win against Florida State, it doesn't matter how many wins or losses we have. We're in, and we're secured in. We might still be 11 or 12. Like we might still get seeded 11 or 12, like you see the smaller conferences in March Madness get 15 and 16 seeds because they're not strength of schedule, competition, all that kind of thing. But we at least know we're in. There's at least a chance.
But how many conferences are you limited this to? Just the Power 5?
Yeah, that was my next. 5. That's my next. Because there's 11 conferences if you're including the independent, and the independent won't count. So there's 10 conferences. So basically, to your analogy, for fairness, they would have to do 10 auto bids with 2.
Well, you don't think that AAC should be included, and then that's the 6 from there, and then the next best 6 teams after that?
You could do it like that, but then in that space, it's like why is the AAC the next one? The other conferences will be like, well, why shouldn't we be the next one, or why?
So name another conference that should be the next one.
I mean, it depends. They all rotate because remember a few years ago the WAC was hot at one point.
Right.
The MAC was hot at a point. Right now it's AAC, but that rotates every 5 years, or one of those mid majors kind of becomes a conference. So you either give all of them or none of them when it comes to the mid majors. Personally, I'm not pressed to see the mid majors in it. I've already seen enough Alabama kicking somebody's ass, and that's part of why I already have enough of these. I'm just not huge on this 12-team playoff because, like I keep saying, I don't want to watch the 5 team. Let's say Oregon is the 5. I don't need to watch them beat the hell out of some AAC team.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
and that eliminates the competition thing, right? We should have the 12, and it goes back to your point, like all your points that you guys have said over the last, few years about the college football playoff. It needs to be the 12 best teams in the country. Now, granted, people in JMU, UCF, well, UCF now is in the Big 12, but they'll be like, oh, well, we're 11-1. Why not? Yeah, congratulations. That's an awesome feat for you guys, but your 11-1 doesn't equal to 11-1 in the Pac-12 or SEC at this point this year. So it doesn't equate, right? JMU would go into that game and absolutely get torched, right? They may hang around for like a half because they may throw some things at, like, let's just say Georgia. That Georgia's like, damn, what the hell is that? And then Georgia picks it up, right? So I can't see these other conferences, and that's just the fairness of it, right? The other conferences are going to step up and say, no, that's not allowed.
I have an idea on how to make it fair, so you don't have the Power Five, because I think it's pretty clear the Power Five is always going to have an auto team. Whoever wins the conference championship is going to be one of the top 12 teams, and the best independent team. There, no more conference debate.
No, Notre Dame needs to join a conference.
No.
Oh yeah, automatic.
Here's my thing, right? Mathematically, it was always
so UMass gets in, right?
No, because Notre Dame will beat
you. UConn gets in, right? Like
just to go off the question for 1 second. I'll answer the question there. It just makes no sense mathematically why go to 12. It's just so much better to keep it at 8. Because then there's no bye week and it's just straight 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. And you do it like the NFL where lowest seed plays best seed and you just re-rank that as the semifinals, right? So I don't know why they did 12. That's dumb. But to answer the question, it's pride. Like, you still have to have some pride instilled in that you want to win your conference championship game, because the true eye test is, are you winning games? Whether or not the team you're playing is a tough team, the team that normally goes on to win the CFP is the one that's strung together 6, 7, 8 wins in a row, apart from the SEC where there's that exchange of I beat you and then you beat me in the conference championship game. And knowing that, other than that, it's the team that's stringing together 4, 5, 6 wins in a row going into the CFP. And then they're just rolling with this sort of momentum at the right time. And that proves to us this team knows how to win games like your boys over in the NFL, whether it's an ugly game, whether it's a shootout, whether it's a rainy game. It doesn't matter. They're winning games. And so if you can prove to win your conference championship, you're telling me as a fan, hey, I got to look out for you. Your team knows how to win games that you're supposed to win, or maybe games that you weren't supposed to win. Hence, can Bama beat Georgia? So you're competing at the highest level and you're playing your best football at the right time, right? So for me, it's pride and proving that you are ready to win at that level.
I still don't like the fact that if you're at the back of the rankings, that you basically still do get a bye week. If we hypothetically were to play out this year, Penn State is currently sitting at 10. So let's say it was next year and Penn State was 10. Ohio State, Michigan would have had to go back out here, have another grueling game. Penn State's at 10. More than likely, they won't drop any because they're not playing. The other team, worst case, to drop Ohio State back 1 extra spot, and Penn State's got an extra week off. There's always going to be these, especially power teams, where there's like a Penn State, for example, is probably going to be like a great beneficiaries, because most of the time Ohio State and Michigan have to replay each other. Or like Oklahoma, for example, they're 12 right now. Like, it's a benefit. Well, in their case, they're playing Texas, but you get what I'm saying. Missouri is 9 right now. Alabama has to go play Georgia. Ohio State would have had to play Michigan if this was, next year. And Missouri and Penn State would have been sitting on their ass chilling while these top dogs are beating the hell out of each other just for the right to say, oh, yeah, I won my conference championship. And at the end of the day, every fan out here is looking for national championships, not conference championships.
So straight up, we're already saying right now that this is the last year where we'll see maybe the best players taking the field. Like, if teams know for sure I'm in, you're gonna say they're gonna rest their players for the conference championship games.
Correct.
But that completely waters the product down.
I think
even if you don't just flat out rest them, if somebody has a little bit of a nick and they may have would have played, now you're not going to chance it. You treat the conference championship at that point, you're treating it similar to, let's say you're Texas and you're playing Toledo, and you're like, it's Toledo, we can make it without. We can sit Ewers this week. It's Toledo, we'll get through it. Or, that's what you now are going to go into your conference championship saying, well, we're in anyways. Ewers is a little bit, the ankle's a little bit tight, where Ewers would play. Now this week, he's going to play where this damn arm, you can fucking shoot Quinn Ewers tomorrow, and he's going to be like, I'm out here because I want to fucking win.
We're not going to get the performance from Max like Max Dugan did in the Big 12 championship.
Oh,
game,
yeah.
where he put everything on the line. Everything.
Because TCU needed everything on the line to have that consideration.
But if it's next year, they wouldn't. They would have been 5, and they would have been probably dropped to 7. But even that's so, right? 5 through 8 gets a home field advantage. Anyways, like the whole like traveling and the road thing, I get is like a big deal. But you know, if you're 5 through 8, you get that momentum in the playoff, right? You get that momentum playing at home. You get a little bit of breather. You don't have to travel. So 1 through 4 is kind of at a disadvantage, like I was saying in the beginning. But when I'm looking at these teams, like the Ohio State Michigan game is going to mean a lot that week. But if we got to go ahead and play Ohio State again, which we would, like I'd be like, I would tell Harbaugh, like, I wouldn't be pressed to see McCarthy, Corum, any of those starters out there because they already know they're in. And I think the same goes for Trey and Marvin Harrison, the entire defense. Like, why go get them hurt? Because okay, what happens? Okay, so let's just say, God forbid, guy gets hurt. It's a key guy. Let's, just say on the defensive side of the ball for Michigan or Ohio State. Boom. Now their season is completely done because then the committee is basically going to say, no, you're number 13 now because you're missing this key player.
Yep.
So when we look at these conference championships, I get what you're saying, like the pride thing, right? When we played sports, we wanted to win our section, then we wanted to win states second. When the end goal should have been states, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's a little different when you're playing at like at such a high level in Division I football because they put such a pedestal. We have a whole show to this every single week for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And we have on top of that show, another show on top of it with Paul Feinbaum and this other lady that covers the Big Ten and Big 12. And it's just constant. So it's all about like just the paparazzi and everything around it that I think the conference championships are going to be, there's going to be some sort of change to that, I think, down the road. I think it's going to go back to, remember when the Big 12 didn't have a game and the winner at the end of the year wins the title. I think that's what it's going to go to eventually because we're going to see a lot more teams sitting players. Like unlike Louisville might not sit players. They may not want to win that title, get that money, for that game. But, it doesn't mean anything for Florida State to win that game because they'll already be in the playoff.
But regardless, there's 2 things we know. First thing is Pac-12, enjoy this one because you ain't seen it ever again in the Pac-12 championship game.
What's going on with that?
And this will be the last Bama-Georgia SEC championship game. You won't see those 2 teams playing. Yep.
Why?
Oh, you're saying Texas and Oklahoma.
I'm just saying with the other teams in there, I don't think we see Bama. It's not going to, put it this way. It's not going to be an automatic where it's like, are we going to see 2 different teams playing? Is it going to be Bama, Georgia again? Yes, it will.
Okay. You're not going to see at least you're not going to see the consistency of Bama, Georgia.
Correct.
Yeah, you'll have
I get you.
The crazy part about the Pac-12 is they haven't like kind of ended their conference.
No, it's going to be the Pac-2.
No, I mean they're still trying to like recruit teams. So, but I get what you're saying, Jamie. Ultimately, the teams that are going to be in there, Oregon State and Washington State's going to run that division until maybe Boise State gets.
I was going to say Boise State might.
Wyoming, Utah, maybe. Utah's already in the Big 12, so I don't see them leaving. But what were you going to say, Mike?
No, I was just going to say. I think Boise State, a team like Boise State is the only one that I've heard might be going into the Pac-12 that would probably at least immediately begin to challenge Oregon State and Washington. I honestly think at this point, the way it looks, we might see like 5 straight Oregon State Pac-12 titles.
Yeah.
It won't be hard. I mean, you might as well just all you gotta do is beat Washington. They have no one else right now. It's just them 2.
Yeah. So next year
schedule.
Oh my God, they're playing each other every week.
I thought Notre Dame just found 2 locks in their schedule right there. There you go, Notre Dame.
There you go, 2 available teams.
All right, so looking at this weekend, do you think the college football playoff stays the same, or do you think it changes? Trey?
I have to go back and look because I don't even remember where it stands.
All right, I'll tell you right now. It's Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Washington 3, Florida State 4, and then on the outside is Oregon 5, Ohio State 6.
Bama 7.
I mean, I think Georgia will win. I think Michigan's going to win, so those 2 aren't going to move. I actually do think Florida State should beat Louisville. I think it'll be close. So really, just comes down to me at that point, the winner of the Washington Oregon game. I think that's pretty much the only thing they changed. Other than that, I think we're pretty much to go forward. I don't think Bama's going to beat Georgia to even hop. I don't think we're going to have that scenario.
Yeah.
You have to worry about hopping them. And I think by default, Texas just won't get the hop because I don't think two teams in the top four lose for them that ability to hop.
So Washington wins, they're in. Oregon wins, they're in.
Yeah, I think that is basically a play-in. Everybody else, I think, stays bored. I guess Florida State has the best shot of losing, but after what I saw from Louisville, I wouldn't hold my breath here. Florida State has a good defense.
Mike?
Yeah, if I think it's the winner. The only change is going to be a potential Oregon win in the Pac-12 championship game. Louisville winning would throw everything off, and we'll see who jumps in at that point, depending on how everybody performs and all that. But yeah, I see it staying the same aside from a potential Oregon hop in if they're able to pull out the Pac-12 championship.
Here's a scenario I thought of. Oregon loses, Florida State loses. Does Ohio State get in? Because they're number 6.
Texas.
No,
I did. Yeah. See, I did say
we've seen it in the past, right? We have seen it from you.
Texas, a big school, beat Texas, but they have to beat Oklahoma.
Yeah.
On that week.
Well, no, probably.
The only way Ohio State gets in is if Texas loses, if Bama loses, Oregon loses, and Florida State loses.
Yeah, that's going to be my breath on that. Yeah. I think Texas also would have hopped them because they would have.
Jamie,
when Ohio State was hopping before, it wasn't hopping Texas, like not that brand. They were hopping teams out of brand.
Yeah, I think the committee is in love with Texas. I think Texas is in because Bama's not going to win. So I think Texas jumps FSU, and I think Oregon wins. So the top 2 stay the same. Oregon 3 seed, Texas 4 seed.
You think Texas hops even if Florida State wins?
No matter what happens in the Florida State,
undefeated.
No matter what happens. Because Florida State is not going to blow that. Florida State and win that game by more than a touchdown. The committee's not going to be impressed. The committee's going to struggle to think one of 2 things there is that should we be cautious and decide, well, if we have 4 unbeatens, should they be automatic? No, they won't say that because they'll be prisoners of the moment to say, how can we leave the Heisman Trophy winner, because he will be if he wins that game, how can we leave the Heisman Trophy winner out of this if he's right there on the cusp? Right. So no matter what, you're not going to leave Oregon out of it. Oregon's in. And then basically you're going to say, well, the next best team to them is a healthy Texas over Florida State. So it's not that should get in, not a team that deserves it, is the next best team in their eyes. So.
But we've seen this scenario play out before back in college football playoff 1, where a team loses their quarterback. Then when technically the third string did win a championship. So to me, that would be wrong to take Florida State out because we've seen if they would have done that logic, then Ohio State doesn't get in the playoffs and they don't win a championship. When we all look back,
but Ohio State was also flirting with being a top team. Like they were flirting with being the top team in the country at some point in the season. Florida State
Ohio State had lost though that year.
They did, but they were flirting with the argument that they could be the best team still, right? Because of their coaching, because of their talent, because of their depth. Florida State, nobody has mentioned them as the best team in college football. Ohio State.
A lot of people didn't think that Ohio State at the time because a lot of people were like, okay, remember, we had a bunch of sophomores. Like, it's easier to say this now because you look at it as that was Zeke, that was Mike Thomas. Remember, these dudes are all 20 sophomores, and then we were putting out our third-string quarterback at that point. Remember, Braxton Miller was the starter. Then we had JT Baird, and we were putting the third string in. And remember, a lot of people on that Sunday was like, this is bullshit. Ohio State got in because they're Ohio State. There was a lot of people said that. Now, I know the one path the thing Ohio State did do that day is they beat the hell out of Wisconsin, which was like they're undoubtedly. But I don't, and not that I don't think Florida State is great with this, but I don't know why can't Florida State blow out Louisville. I wasn't impressed with what I've seen with Louisville last week.
And ultimately, Florida State was, and I say this about North Alabama, the game when Jordan Travis went down, they were down 13-0, and then Tate brought them back. He had like 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and brought them back 58 unanswered points, right? So I think the thing is, you look at the quarterback of Florida State, but then you look at the team. The defense is really good. Yeah, Keon Coleman, probably one of the top 3 best receivers in the country right now. Probably going to be one of the top receivers off the board if he leaves this year.
Yeah, and the Gators locked him up last week, and the Gators secondary is highly questionable as a good secondary. I mean, their run defense is really their weakness.
Yeah.
Thing that they don't have.
Yeah, you got a point on that. I mean, that was a pretty pitiful game. It was in the swamp. I will give them a rival game type of mentality. Florida needed that signature win for Napier. But yeah, I mean,
get into the bowl with that win.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'll be interesting moving forward. Trey, sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's just so I would. The thing is, if you told me truthfully, if I was a betting man, would I take Oregon, Washington over Florida State to win? Yes, I would. I do believe the best teams to make it, but there does be a certain point where resume has to mean something. And Florida State is a huge program that's undefeated. It just, to me, is hard to put them out because one player goes down when it's still a team game. Maybe they go out there and get slaughtered. Maybe they do. A lot of people thought Ohio State. Remember, Ohio State went to go play Alabama, and everybody's like, oh, so you're going to go out there the third string and play Saban? They fucked around and won. And then they went out there and beat the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, which is the path Florida State. And like I said, I would not bet on Florida State doing it, but that path actually looks very similar to the Ohio State path of that year, where you probably would have to go beat Alabama or Georgia. Georgia would be the Alabama team, basically the Alabama, the perennial team who just keeps doing it. Like, there's no way in hell that Florida State would go beat them. Then they would have to go probably play the Heisman winner, which would end up being Penix or Bo Nix, probably in the championship, more than likely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have the talent on the team. That's what I compare them to, right? That Ohio State team had a lot of talent on the field outside the quarterback, right? It goes back to Mac Jones's time. I mean, we look at Mac Jones right now. He had a dominant offense on Alabama, so it's not surprised that they won the national title and made him look amazing. What's that?
So that third receiver was a pro, and he couldn't even get on the field that much.
Right, right, exactly. So when we look at this, I think it's going to be very, but like Jamie, like you and I discussed, this is the closest it's been in a very, very long time, probably ever. And this is what we look for, right? I love seeing this close college football where every game matters. So look forward to next year. Hopefully it's not too weird, I guess, next year. But
no, man, enjoy this year. Next year is going to be weird as fuck. Just enjoy it this way.
Yeah.
I was trying to be nice, but yeah, you're right. It's going to be, we're going to be sitting here next year being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So,
you're going, Notre Dame's in. Yay. Earlier this week, I saw a SportsCenter story on Zion Tupuola-Fatui, the defensive end for Washington. They're headed in, obviously, to the Pac-12 championship game this weekend against Oregon. The story was about how, about a month ago, Zion unfortunately lost his father. Earlier in the season, he had laid down before one of Washington's games and unfortunately passed away in his sleep. And so since then, it's been a tough time for Zion, as you would expect, losing his father, not having him around to talk to about the games or be at the games. And so I just wanted to say that, you know, I admire and am amazed by the fact that Zion has been able to channel his father and all the words that his father told him in his career to continue to play hard for him and his team, help them get to that Pac-12 championship game. So with that in mind, this weekend, even though I'm not, obviously I'm a Notre Dame fan. I've never rooted for a particular team in the Pac-12 before, but this weekend I am officially a Washington Huskies fan. Go UW, go Huskies, beat Oregon, because I'm with you, Zion.
So there's been a lot of coaching changes in NFL and college football, and already Frank Wright this past week gone out of Carolina. Thought he got a raw deal, but that's for here and there. Puts a good question in. What coaching job in sports would you guys want? You know, any sport, doesn't matter. I guess Grandpa Jay already has his, but Grandpa Jay, what would your other than swimming?
You think I'm going with the head coach for Kentucky basketball? You think that's
no?
What
I was saying you're already a coach. You're already a coach.
Want to be the coach of USA Swimming?
Yeah.
Like he might
yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you where my heart would like to be at, right? And this is a bit of the side of me coming out, where it's like I'd still like to get paid an okay amount of money, but still be able to enjoy a lot of my days. Is I want to be the women's flag football coach at the University of Hawaii. So my ass could be surfing all fucking morning long, and then I could have my team come and practice from 3 to 6 p.m. And if I can catch an evening surf, I'll go right back out and get a sunset surf as well. Because that's the kind of lifestyle. If you're talking about ideal lifestyle, where I want to live, what I'd like to do, how I'd like to contribute. I can still be involved in the community. I can be involved in growing a sport because Jump High, Jump Low, they're doing everything to keep women's sports alive, and they keep pumping resources into that. So I know my job would be secure. So I get to surf, and I get to be a part of something developing young women on the island. Hey, give me that job any day. That's me right there.
Jamie would buy his. Jamie would fly cargo there. It don't matter.
I know, man. He's getting there
Put
somehow.
me in the surfboard bag. Like, what the hell? Your bag looks so different. Or, you got a dead body in there.
I'm gonna make it.
Jamie, don't lie. You wouldn't even pack. You would just leave everything in Tampa and just. I'll start new over there. I only need my t-shirt and shorts. You have to like
T-shirt,
have a garbage bag.
I work in the surf shop part time in between the coaching shifts.
Anytime I see like a Hawaii movie or something, I see the guy in the surf shop like talking. I'm like, that's Jamie, like probably in 10 years. Mike, what about you?
Mine is I think what you would probably expect. I would say
Yankees.
I want to be the manager of the New York Yankees. Like above all, like I want to wear the pinstripes. I want to be able to stand in that dugout in that stadium, be a part of that organization. Just all the history, the great managers they've had on top of all the great players, obviously. So yeah, there's pride, power, pinstripes. Like I would love to be the Yankees manager.
People are like, Mike, you have to manage. I just want to stand here.
I just want to stand here.
Into Mike in the dugout. Mike has like bats and gloves. Like, sign this, please. Like, bro, you're the manager.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, Aaron Judge, you want to be on my podcast? Yeah, I could definitely see that. Sign this, please. What's this for? Just contracts.
Contractual stuff.
Yeah, contracts. We got to send it up to legal and whatnot. Trey Day, what about you?
What do y'all think I'm gonna say?
Head coach.
Lakers head coach.
You said what, Jay?
Lakers head coach.
John, what'd you say?
I didn't say anything. I'm trying to think. I would say.
I don't think any of y'all can get this right.
The head coach of. I don't even think it's a head coach. I think it's just a coach.
You're on something.
I think it's just a coach. I don't think he wants to be the head honcho. I think he wants to be a position coach at, I would say, Ohio State to start off with, or Pittsburgh.
Offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm going to say
defensive coordinator for Ohio State.
Yeah.
So let's put it together. Actually, it's the defensive coordinator of USC.
Damn it, I was going to say that. I was like, on my mind, I was like, he's going to trick us with a California school. Yes.
I'll go back home to Cali. They
need it.
They need it. They have needed it for a fucking decade. Somebody to come run that defense. I get to go back, live in LA again, which is cool. But this time I'm living in LA with real money. And I don't want Lincoln Riley can keep coaching. I don't want Lincoln Riley's job responsibility. I love defensive football, and I can get that defense together. I want to be the defensive coach of USC. They already have a story program. You got a great recruiting base. You can get, so I know I can get kids in there because I got Cali. I got California alone. Vegas has put out a lot of guys. I go get all those Samoan dudes up there in Hawaii to come through and play. Now I got connections with the Big Ten. We're going to the Big Ten. Like,
I'll recruit for you.
Yeah, right.
Be on the island already.
Jamie will deliver him on his surfboard.
Side job. Please sign me up for them side jobs.
Yeah,
I can see it though.
The USC D coordinator job. As much as I love Ohio State, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I was on the, we all been going back and forth. We fire Ryan Day, we keep him on type of stuff. Man, I don't want to be no head. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go 56-7 and to argue about my job. If I can just turn around that defense, the thing with USC, that defense gives them like 40 points a game. All I got to do is manage to get that shit down to about 28. And I'm now a fucking god there. All I got to do, matter of fact, the way USC's defense looks, all I got to do is get a motherfucker learn how to tackle. These dudes have been tackle for years. If I can go out there and just teach them how to tackle, I have now accomplished more than Grinch just did or any of these last defense coordinators.
Very true.
So,
it's basically like the defense is like kind of how the Giants were for Deshaun Jackson in the Miracle in the Meadowlands. The USC defense is like,
get out there watching. They're like season ticket holders. They're like watching.
Oh shit! I gotta tackle him.
We're having a debate in one of my other groups saying, "What are there any white defensive backs or cornerbacks. And I was like, actually, one plays for USC, who was a former Ohio State player. It's like, why are you recruiting him to come out?
Don't forget my boy.
Yeah.
Reed Blankenship.
Yeah.
That dude is a monster. So I guess say the best for last. I would love to be, and it's always been my dream since I was a little kid, and it's the reason why I love Michigan. I would love to be the head coach of the hockey team. I always wanted to coach there. I always wanted to play there. Never was good enough to, but I wanted to always go there. That's where I fell in love with Michigan, actually, to start off with, is because of the maize on the helmet. I was like, oh, that's sweet. The maize jerseys and whatnot. So it would have to be the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines hockey team, not the football team. But I have to say one thing. There is no better job in the world than being a head football coach in a Power 5 school. You get a guaranteed contract, and you ain't got to win that much. You can get fired and still get your – Jimbo Fisher is getting paid – Jimbo's getting $26,000 a day for the next 8 years. Next 8 years. Imagine every day you get a $26,000 check. Boom.
Forget Jimbo Fisher. IU's head coach who won 9 games in 5 years is getting a $15 million settlement. Wait, I got to win 2 games, maybe 2 games a year, and I get $15 million. Hell yeah, I'll take that position tomorrow and win 2 games.
Right, and the response of like, oh, well, you did so poorly, now no team's going to hire you. I don't need them to.
Yeah.
I'm making millions of dollars.
Good. Somebody's going to need a quarterback coach or a
somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know about you,
but
if I'm a player on that team, I'm like, Coach, who's your agent? Who's your agent? Let me get that guy before I'm going to go to the pros and get him. I want $100 million guaranteed. Right? That shit's incredible. Like that is incredible. I didn't know he only won 9 games, but he had a tough time recruiting up there, and it was rough in Indiana for a while. Didn't they have like some sort of like I feel like every university does, but didn't they have like some sort of like controversy or something going on at school or no?
That'd be Michigan State every year for the last 4 years.
Yeah, every sport.
Yeah, it's been bad. I don't know who would want that. Let's just say who would want that.
On top of that, on a campus shooting is like, how can it keep getting worse there right now? So.
Yeah, it's just getting bad up in Michigan State. So, so that's our 4. Let us know in the comments who you guys would want to coach for. And if you do coach for a team, if you want to come on the podcast, let us know. We'll have you on as a guest.
NFL. I know I've spoken about this before. We have a backup quarterback issue. If I was a team and I'm trying to invest in my future, one key thing you do need to look at is backup quarterbacks. Every week we're watching a backup quarterback versus another backup quarterback, and it's getting real ugly. We can't even name half these guys. We don't know where half these colleges are they're playing for, and there's a lot of quarterbacks that are even starting that we're questioning. But most of these teams right now, they're one play away from losing their season. Can you imagine if something happened to Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? Like, imagine if something happens to one of those guys, you just put the backup in. Most of these teams are not equipped to play without their starter. And I know that sounds like an obvious point, but I would honestly start considering sometimes maybe in that 3rd round, just taking a shot on the quarterback, bringing them in just to get some reps, get a program together. Because I look at a team like the Cleveland Browns, for example, and you know what's wrong with them right now? They had to keep trying to plug in these quarterbacks because they didn't really have the best plans. So now you're taking a guy like Joe Flacco and you're bringing him out of retirement. When you have that type of defense, you don't want to waste that type of defense when you have that good of a defense on the field. I'm looking at a lot of teams do this on a weekly basis, and that's what I'm saying. Just take a shot, because really the truth is when you draft a quarterback, a good quarterback is right now looking like a 30% chance that you get a good quarterback in the 1st round. So throw something on the wall. If you're a team that's already stacked and you got a 3rd, 4th round pick, maybe you got an extra one, just throw it on the wall. Maybe you'll get a quarterback. Maybe you'll find at least a good backup, because a backup quarterback is very important when you look at quarterback being the most important position in the game of football.
But I'm going to throw it over to Trey Day, because he's going to take us away with our final topic of the night.
Okay, so every year it's always a thing where you watch like athletes and they complain about like their rating in a video game, especially now because a lot of these players, like you got all these younger guys, they grew up on the video games. So their whole thing is wait until I get into the league. I'm going to be the sweetest dude on 2K. So what we're basically going to do is I'm going to read a couple different players. I'll give you the 2K rating, like the current 2K rating as of right now, the taping of this show. And y'all tell me, do you think that player is properly rated, or you think they're underrated or overrated? So I'll read a player, and I also will give you all a couple people who have a similar ranking of a similar position, just to kind of a scope of how, that player's flown. So to get started, we're going to go with – okay, so let's go if I talked about him in my corner three. Make sure you check out Trey's corner three. Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal right now is currently in 2K 86 overall ranking. Now, also guards rated 86, exactly the same rating. Just to give you a couple examples, would be Drew Holiday, DeJounte Murray, and Mikal Bridges, who's a guard forward hybrid. So Bradley Beal 86. Jay.
No chance. Bradley Beal hasn't been on the court that much for the last couple of seasons. If we're comparing him to Drew Holiday, who we can wholeheartedly and arguably say has been one of the glues of a perennial powerhouse in basketball over the past 3 years that did win an NBA championship, I can't see how he compares on the rating scale. I think what we are prisoners of the past. But Bradley Beal, we remember him as an all-star, and then after that, we don't remember much of him because he hasn't been on the court that much. So I think we're riding off of the coattails of what we knew Bradley Beal to be. I'll drop him down to an 81 until he can prove to be a mid-80s, high-80s guy again in a really good offensive scheme that should allow him to be scoring at least 20 a game on limited minutes to start, and then who knows from there where he'll be at.
Do you think he's overrated?
100%.
Okay. Yeah, I second that. He's definitely overrated for that. He hasn't played much, and I think he's only played like a couple games for the Suns right now.
2 or 3. So.
Yeah, at max, right? Like you don't deserve that. And the biggest thing with the 2K ratings is they're updating in live time, correct?
Yeah, that rating I gave you is the at this moment rating, but they do change it like weekly.
So when I see an 86, I'm thinking this guy's playing every night. He's averaging 20, 23 a game. He's giving out some assists, especially with the guys you just mentioned. DeJounte Murray, probably one of the hottest point guards in the league right now. Who's the other two?
I mentioned Drew Holiday and then
Drew Holiday. I mean, come on now. I mean, he's an all-star. He played for Team USA. Like he's a great player. So you put him in this. I wouldn't even put him in the same room as Bradley Beal. Like Bradley Beal put him in the same room as Drew Holiday. So I think he's definitely overrated. I agree with Jay. I would probably put him in the 70s, probably 78.
That's a bit low.
Mike?
Yeah, so I know once you essentially become an all-star or are at one point one of the better players at your position in the league, like Bradley Beal was in Washington, you tend to get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to ratings in 2K, where they will rate you partially on how you are right now and partially on what your potential should be. I would say he's a bit overrated for me. I wouldn't drop him as far as you guys. I was thinking more in the 83, 84 range, so a little bit lower. I definitely think that it's going to be a case, I think, right now where Beal, you're going to, as you see the updates throughout the rest of the year, Beal's probably going to go down. Those other 3 are going to go up because they're having better seasons. But yeah, he's a little overrated right now for me.
Yeah, I think I would drop him about 82. Partly at the end of the day, the other thing too, and always take this in mind when you do like 2K ratings, is they rate everything you do individually. So I just don't see how we got the formula 86 because the other 3, for example, I named of Drew Holiday, DeJounte Murray, Mikal Bridges, all are also rated 86 on 2K. All 3 of those guys are known for playing offense, and all 3 of those guys are also known for locking people
defense.
Up. We never thought of Bradley Beal even in his prime. We look at him like a turnstile even in his prime. So there's no way I see how the cumulative rating is the same as those other 3 people right now. So, yeah, for me, I think I would drop Beal from about 86 to maybe an 82 range based on what he's done recently and what he's currently doing. He's not playing, and I just can't put him in the same ranking with those folks.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
All right. So we're all overrated. Bradley Beal, stop being overrated.
Okay, so next up, this will be a fun one. Let's go with – we're going to go to another person who's rated 86 currently. We're going to go with Victor Wembanyama at an 86 rating currently on 2K. Now, other people who are front court players who are rated 86, just to give you a couple examples. Jaren Jackson, Domantas Sabonis, Lauri Markkanen are all rated 86. All 3 were just an all-star game. So, John, kick us off.
That's underrated. Victor is the real deal. He has been crushing it. And I don't care who you put on that list right there. He is absolutely crushing. He's everything that everyone's been hyping him about. That was my biggest fear with him coming in. He is athletic. He can bring the ball up. He can dribble, which you don't normally see at a 7'4". He's definitely underrated. You said he's a what, 80?
He's at 86 right now.
86. I would definitely put him in the 90s right now. He is just playing. He makes the Spurs so much better. And like we said in the beginning, he probably was going to catapult them. That offense just seems – I watched a couple Spurs games already this year, and they just look so much energized. Everyone just seems like – Pop looks like he's 10 years younger. And he looks like he's energized on the bench. Like he's like salivating, like, yeah, finally I got a winning culture again. So I would definitely – that's underrated. I think he's in the 90 range, probably 90 on the dot. But, Jay, what do you think?
Overrated. Because what I feared has happened. He's already dealing with lower leg injuries. I think it's a hip injury already happened for him because he has to do too much. You know the only team with less win than the Spurs, it's the Detroit Pistons at 2-16. The Spurs are 3-14, along with the Wizards who are 3-15. 3 games. I mean, they were better at this time last year without him on the court. Now, do I think he's the glue that's going to attract people to the franchise eventually? Absolutely. But like I said one time on a rant that I had, slow the brakes on Wemby. Let's not pump him up to where he's in that stratosphere yet of true all-star players that have proven themselves in the 90s. I think 86 is a little bit high. I would have him at 84, 85. So not completely overrated, but that 86 is a bit much right now. I mean, his numbers are great. He's almost a 20 and 10 guy, almost averaging 3 blocks a game. That's awesome for a rookie. So he gets his kudos for a rookie in the numbers, but 85.
Okay. Properly rated. I think he's properly rated. He's not going to get into the 90s. I'm pretty sure they never even put LeBron in the 90s for as good as he was his rookie year. They tend to hold off on putting rookies that high, but the fact that he's already in 86 means that they believe that next year he will break the 90s. He'll start with in the 90s. And I think if he continues this performance, he'll probably end the season around near 90. He'll end up at like an 88 or 89, which is essentially 2K saying, hey, yeah, he's probably a 90s player, but we're not going to put a rookie in the 90s right now. So I would say for where he's at and what he's been doing, I think an 86 is where he's going to be, as if only a sign that we really think he's like a 95, but he's a rookie.
Right.
I pretty much second everything Mike just said. I think he's going to end at about 88. I think about 86 is about right. Because even if you look at like his stats and everything, like, and what he actually does a very similar thing like Jaren Jackson, where he controls the blocks, he rebounds, he gets you about 20 points a game. Sabonis, same type of thing. Like it's a similar path right now. I think he ultimately will pass all of them. Wouldn't go up to 90 yet because it's a 15-game sample size. So I wouldn't go that far up yet. But I think, like Mike said, I think about 86 seems to be about right. Because the thing with him, which is interesting, is he is literally the video game character we all created when we were kids. Yep. You go in and you're like, I'm going to make this 7-foot crazy superstar center who can
99
dribble the ball, he can shoot, he can block. And you're like, this doesn't exist. And then Victor Wembanyama really comes out, you're like, oh, shit. This person I created when I was like fucking 12 in 2K actually is a real life person now. So like, just imagine a few years from now when he really is good enough to be rated 94, 95. What he's gonna like, it's gonna be like a cheat. Like the shit he's doing in some of these games where he's like in the damn paint, he's blocking somebody on the 3-point line. That's the shit you only do in video games. You're like, oh, this is real life. But I think 86 for right now, being his early in his career, I would say that's about properly rated.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay, so let's go with. I was gonna do one more, but I think I'm gonna do 2 more because I got 2 ones that I'm really interested in. Okay, so let's go first with. We're gonna go with Russell Westbrook, who is currently rated 81 in the video game right now. Now your other 81s right now: Jordan Poole, Cole Anthony, Emmanuel Quickly. Mike, kick us off. And I know I put your boy Cole Anthony on purpose.
Figured you did. I'm gonna call him properly rated. I think 2K in its history has a habit of knocking whether they are better than certain young guards, as you just named, or not. They have a habit of knocking older guards, especially ones that, in Russ's case, just got moved to the bench. Whether it's the right move or not, which it seems to be the right move, they do seem to take where you play in the rotation into account when it comes to rating it so that the team, if only so that the team plays. Like if you're playing, let's say in 2K right now, you're playing the Clippers. He's rated like a sixth man because he is a sixth man. Therefore, the simulation of the team you're playing against will play similar to the way the rotation is set. Do I think Russ is still better than those other guards? Absolutely. But I think from a 2K perspective, I think he's properly rated for where he's at.
If you're going off these three guards, he's underrated, right? He's better than all three of them, like hands down. If you had them on the Wizards, he would start over Jordan Poole because Jordan Poole's having a miserable year, like you alluded to in your corner through.
Yeah.
Cole Anthony can't get out of his own way with injuries, and I'm not really sure about Emmanuel Quickly. I don't know how his game is this year.
Quickly's
but,
been great.
Okay, so
yeah.
So
Quickly
I think he's a little underrated. I'd put him at like 83. I wouldn't put him that much higher, but around like 83, I think I would put him just because he still is Russell Westbrook. We still see some of the explosiveness that we fell in love with when he came into the league. So I think he's definitely there. I think he's underrated though when you put those two players in a category with him. Jamie,
I mean, look at what he's doing right now. I'm not sure what the minutes are. I don't think they're that high. He's averaging 12.5, 6.5 rebounds and 5.5 assists per game. So he's still giving
27 minutes.
Yeah, and to me, that's a really good stat line where he's doing it in every category still. I think if we saw that Westbrook all of a sudden dropped off in one category where he's not a great rebounder anymore, he's not dishing the ball anymore, and you say, okay, well, it looks like the Russ Westbrook we know, which is he can play on all levels offensively, it looks like one part of his game has dropped off, but it hasn't. So I think he's fairly rated where he is at that 81.
Okay.
I would probably go a little bit closer where John was at, somewhere around 82, 83. So I think Russ is just a slight bit underrated. But you know what? That's all. I got a caveat here. The reason he maybe should be at 81, okay, so I don't know how deep y'all get in 2K, but there's a chemistry thing, right? And sometimes if two people, you'll get the little red arrow and it goes down that says, all right, does it add up? Russ was at 83. Then Harden showed up and the Clippers got worse, which then makes Russ's red arrow go down to 81. Russ really was playing at 83. Clippers were so much better at the time when Harden wasn't there. Russ was getting to go out there and cook. Now Russ is like, well, I'll go to the bench. And not that Russ really needs to be on the bench. He has to go to the bench for that team to work, which then has now hurt his play and his stats, which then makes it less. So it's really that team chemistry factor that actually makes his rating. So the way I would actually rank it would be 83, but then I'll have that little arrow down to the 81. So you'll have that caveat of he's really an 83 rating who's currently 81 because of team chemistry issues, which happened and not be his fault, which is the fucked up part. It's really because of James. It's not because of us. So, yeah, that's what
I see.
Okay, so we'll do one last one. This one is going to be, okay, so I went to approach, and unfortunately, he just got hurt the other day, but LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is an 85. LaMelo Ball is a walking video game. The three people I picked, ironically, they're all also 85. They're guards, and similar to LaMelo, they've all had injury issues. So before we go into this person's hurt, Cade Cunningham, who missed off last year, Darius Garland, who's been in and out the lineup, and Tyler Hero, who's also had injury issues, are all 85 along with LaMelo Ball. Jake, what you
Underrated.
got? Underrated. Okay.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball is he's the combination that you would love to see as a fan. If you had to choose a couple of guys you know that are going to be entertaining and it's worth the price, he's definitely up there. He has great court vision. So he has a blend of an Allen Iverson and a Jason Kidd game. And I know that's high praise, but that's more about his ability to get to the rim and finish almost any way, as well as his court vision to pass the ball while on the move anywhere on the court as well. Great one-hand passer. We see that from very few guys who are accurate with one hand and can make a lot of great no-look plays without making themselves look stupid. So I think the kid came to the league as a lethal shooter, and because of that, the spacing and what he can do with the ball, that adds to it. So I love where he's at and how you mentioned him amongst those guys Cade Cunningham has no business being in the same level or on the same level as LaMelo Ball. So I think that's why I'm saying he's underrated at the 85.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I think he's underrated in that sense, and it has nothing to do with Cade. Like LaMelo is LaMelo, right? Like he's had some injuries this year, but I'm not putting that on him, right? Like you can't control that.
He plays reckless, like I was.
He plays reckless, right? But he also plays in control. He's recklessly in control. It's weird, right? It's like a contradiction, but it's like when you see him play, he goes so like all over the place to the basket, but then it looks so smooth. And for him, I think he's more in the 88 range. I think he's more towards that top echelon of point guards. If LaMelo was put on the trade block right now, probably 25 teams would go after him to try to get him on the team. That's what shows me that you're a top perennial point guard. So
you know where he would fit perfect? In LA with the Lakers. He'd be a perfect fit for the Lakers. But LeBron don't really like the young superstars. So
LeBron already tried that.
But it's what you would need. It's what you would need on the team, though.
Mike?
Yeah, no, he's underrated, and I agree with John. I was immediately thinking, somewhere around 88. We have a much larger sample size already of LaMelo Ball versus Cade Cunningham. Who was that second one you said, Trey?
It was Darius Garland, Cade Cunningham, LaMelo, and Tyler Hero.
I'm surprised Garland's 85 too.
So Garland, I think, as a side note, I think Garland's properly rated there because I think he's a guard on the rise. He's been pretty good.
All-star already, though.
Yeah.
That's been all-star.
So Garland, I think LaMelo is that next kind of step up from Garland at the moment. And as far as Tyler Hero goes, I don't remember LaMelo Ball being talked about all offseason getting moved somewhere for somebody. So I feel like you can't if the team that Tyler Hero is on is valuing him as a trade chip, and the team that LaMelo Ball is on is valuing him as a franchise player, I don't understand why they can be the same.
Because when Tyler's balling, Tyler is balling. That's why.
To be fair, he did
and defensively he's better. So
he was second in points on the team last year for the Heat. And a lot of people thought he was having 2021 type of year, but I mean even this year he's averaging 22, 5, and 4. So I mean he's having a really good year. So
he's having a good year, but I mean as far as we're looking at so going back, if we're gonna knock Russ for going to the bench, whether it be by team chemistry or rotation or whatever, then
age.
And it is age. But I think LaMelo, like you guys said, is just that next step above all of those guys. And I think he is closer to an 88 and probably should be finishing the year, barring health and games played and stuff like that, probably can finish the year in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would put LaMelo closer to an 89 or 90 rating. Actually, LaMelo, once again, as a walking video game, he does everything. And when I look at somebody, no offense to Tyler Hero, but Tyler Hero can't be 85, LaMelo be 85. Doesn't make sense. No offense to Cade Cunningham, same thing. Can't be 85, be 85 there. Garland, I think he's also 85, but actually I would have probably put Garland up to about an 86, 87, and then I would have bumped both of them up because I don't think those two should be in the same category with Cade Cunningham and Tyler Hero to begin with. Because Garland facilitates, makes his team better. Same thing LaMelo does. I mean, the Hornets on LaMelo are fucking zombies out here. Like everybody's shots happen because of him. Everything that happens on a team goes through LaMelo. So to me, just watching him rebound, the way he just gets the assist, his feel for the game, the awareness, and those are factors. You do put in awareness, you put in shooting. These are factors when they do ratings. I would have LaMelo. The only thing you can really knock on is the injury. I guess his injury goes up, but the injury rating only means so much to the overall ranking. So I would probably take him up. So that's where I would go with this. But, in the comments, let us know what y'all think. Make sure y'all forward this to Ronnie 2K. That's who does the ratings.
Yes.
Maybe Ronnie will see this and get some of these ratings correct.
Big baller brand, baby. No love for the big baller brand.
DeSean Jackson, man. It was a pleasure watching you play in Philadelphia for the first 6 years. Obviously, the last 2, you were hindered by injury. But, man, watching you just sprint by guys, it's almost like Devontae Smith is the modern day you right now. It was awesome watching you, the Miracle in the Meadowlands, take it all the way back to the house, run across the Cowboys goal line to taunt them a little bit. Oh, and then, of course, we can't forget the drop ball at the Cowboys before getting in the end zone. DeSean, hold on to the ball, man. At the end of the day, Chip Kelly is the one that kicked you pretty much out of Philadelphia, which was bullshit in my mind. And I'll never forget that day saying, why would you let a franchise receiver go like that? Always loved you on the field, especially with McNabb and all the greats. Hope you have a great retirement, and hopefully you stay in football, either as an announcer, coach, or whatever, because I feel like you have a really good sense of the game. So you'll always be an Eagle for life, no matter what team you play for afterwards. Fly, Eagles, fly, or should I say fly, DeSean, fly.
All right, boys and girls, and all you crazy people out there, it's our favorite time in the show. It is Stump the Squad. This is when we ask each other a series of questions to see who we can stump. If you get it right, you get +2. If you get it wrong, you get -2. We know it all, so sometimes we just mess with you guys to make you feel like we don't. Hey, we got to keep it fun, right? But here's the deal. The person who has the most wins at Show 100 gets crowned King of the Stump or King of the Stump the Squad. Whatever you guys want to phrase it at. I kind of like King of the Stump because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my crown on and win that Stump the Squad 100 show is where we're going to do it. So you guys got to stay tuned up until then. But let's take it away, boys. I got to do my best to make sure that he is not going to jump on top and be tied for the leader or tied for the lead after this week. So, Mike, I'm depending on you because I ain't really feeling it tonight. But you never know. We could pull one off here. Guys, it's time for Stump the Squad. Let's take it away here. John dressed up like a true Eagle fan. He's in his element right now.
Well, I think you said John was dressed like a tree. That's what I heard you say.
Merry Christmas.
Bringing in the Christmas cheer and spirit in his Eagle ugly green. John, take us away.
Oh, all right. To each their own. To each their own. All right. So, as Michigan is the winningest school out of all division football with 1,001 this week. I know, Trey, it's boring you. College football. Which Ivy League school is the winningest school? Is it Princeton, Yale, Penn, or Harvard?
Harvard. No, I'm going with Yale.
I'm going Yale.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Yale.
Oh, shit. Everybody went Yale.
Harvard.
Yeah, because they were like late 1800s. They were like winning almost all the
I
things.
felt like I saw
everything.
Their championships and a whole bunch of.
Yeah, I think Princeton has a lot too.
Today I have successfully stumped
Nobody.
no one. It is Yale, and Yale has. Actually, I'll hold that in case we have a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So Yale is the winningest Ivy League school, but all four of those schools are in the top 15. Fun fact.
I think all four of them are some of the oldest programs.
Oldest programs in the world. I think Princeton won the first ever national title.
I'm pretty sure. See, that's why initially I was thinking of going with Princeton because I was like, I remember looking at the titles in like the 1800s. They won like 5 of them.
I had to make sure they were all Ivy League schools because I know they always say Princeton's not an Ivy League, but I know but they say because it's not in this side of the country. It's like the Ivy League of the South, or I mean not South, the West. But all right, Mike, take it away. What?
No, you're thinking Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford. That's right.
Stanford.
Why do I always do that
Jersey.
shit? How many times in our time friendship I do this every single time? I get confused with it. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I don't know where shit is or what is. So, so Mike, take it away.
Okay.
Because you have the mind.
You have the mind. I have a mind for the
mind for the game.
Just like Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time. No, I'm not saying Connor McDavid is as good or not as good. So everybody stop.
Continue.
Stop coming at me about it and come at each other about it. So Frank Reich, as we know, got fired this past week. With him in mind, so it includes this one. Since 1970, how many head coaches, NFL head coaches, have been fired in their first year with their teams? Is it A, 28, B, 32, C, 36, or D, 40?
I'm going 36.
32.
36. Jay goes 32.
How many have been fired in their first year?
In their first year. This includes, as I
People
saw
who
the
don't
list,
finish, right?
it includes people that don't finish and people that only got a year in. So end of the year or.
On a side note, I wonder if a coach has ever gotten fired before the season, before their first season even started. That'd be a fun fact to know.
Next week.
Well, so you said 26, 28,
No.
28, 32,
32.
36, or 40.
Could be 26. No, I'm gonna go 28.
Okay, so John, you said 28. Jay said 32. Trey said 36.
Yep.
It looks like it's 40.
This week, I have successfully stumped John and Trey.
Yeah.
Damn, it is 32 coaches.
32.
All right.
2 coaches.
Starting in the hole.
All right. Well, as per
Who's
usual,
next?
when somebody gets on a roll, we must stop them. Jay, go.
All right, boys and girls, going to the NFL here. Here's my question of the week. Squad, don't get stumped. Which one of these teams does not have a point differential over 100 at the moment? The Ravens, the Bills, the Dolphins, or the 49ers? Which one of those teams does not have a current point differential, that is points for and points against, at over plus 100? The Ravens, the Dolphins, the Bills, or the 49ers?
I'm going to go Ravens.
Yeah, I was thinking Ravens.
The Ravens have been blowing people out, though. That have one or don't have one over 100?
Not have
Not have.
a 100 plus point differential at the moment.
I mean, Dolphins, I don't know. I want to say Dolphins, but because they only had that one win, but I'm going to go with my gut and say the Bills.
So we
I think
have
it's
2
wrong.
Ravens and 1 Bills.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I have successfully stumped the squad. The answer
49ers.
is the Miami Dolphins.
Oh,
The 49ers are plus 140. The Ravens are plus 134. By the way, the Cowgirls lead with plus 164.
Yeah,
The
you're welcome
Bills-
for that.
The Bills are at plus 101. And the Dolphins are sitting at about 85 in that range right now. 85, 88, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Wow. I had a feeling because the Dolphins haven't really played great since week 2.
They only had that one Broncos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Which that team, the Broncos, are on a heater right now.
They're on a
Holy shit.
roll right now, bro.
Holy shit. Like, we'll
Like
talk
on a
about that in a
roll.
second. But all right,
Yeah.
Trey. So the scores are Mike 0, Grandpa J at 4, me at -4, which I am eliminated, and Trey at -2, which he is eliminated. So
okay, so we are going to take this to the hardwood. We spent a lot of time there today. You ever wonder about those little dots on the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how many dots are on that ball? 6,500, 19,000, 28,000, or 35,000?
Well, just because 28 is my number, I'm going to go 28,000.
28,000 for Jay.
wait, like, oh, the basketball.
The little dots on the basketball.
19,000.
I was thinking, I'm such an idiot. I was like golf ball, it has indents. It doesn't.
Dots. Well, if you color them all in, they're dots.
But then I'm thinking in my head, like, what do they have to do on the hardwood? All right, so I know, John, shut up and do your answer. I'm gonna go with 28,000 with Jay.
Okay, Mike.
I said 19,000.
Oh, didn't hear 19. Okay, so today I have successfully stumped all you motherfuckers.
There we go.
Wow.
Winner, chicken dinner.
So the answer is 35,000.
Wow, that's a lot of dots.
Are estimated to be on an NBA regulation ball.
Damn, it take a long time to make one ball.
I know. It's crazy, right?
And again, our week 87 champion is Grandpa Jay, taking it home with his 7th victory?
I think it's 7.
Third.
7th victory. So we are 13 episodes away, and I am behind
That's six. This is fantasy football over again.
Dramatic. It's going to be a dramatic comeback.
Speaking of fantasy football, I'd like to congratulate the reigning champ on clinching the playoffs. I think I'm right there with him. We have the same record, and I am 1 point behind him overall for that number one overall seed. So, yes, these next 2 weeks do matter somewhat for Brian.
All right. You got your.
We know the regular season champ doesn't win, so
mute him.
Real close match.
Grandpa Jay is our week.
John's not last place anymore.
No.
Yeah, no. I'm eighth. So Grandpa Jay is our week 87 winner. I'll throw it over to Mike for the score.
Okay, so as it stands now, the leaderboard is as follows. Jamie, as we said, is in the lead with 7 wins. Trey follows up with 5 wins. I am in third with 3 wins. John in fourth with 1.
We're supposed to play the lowest score, right? Like,
yeah, no, golf rules.
Changing the golf rules by episode 90. You're in control.
Yeah.
No, episode 99. We're switching. You guys gotta go negatives. All right, so we got 13 episodes left. Who will be crowned the belt of Cinco Squad, Stump the Squad?
We shall see.
I think right now Jamie's got a tough lead. So, Mike, you have 3?
I have 3, so I'm 4 back. You're 6 back. Trey's 2 back.
I mean, you could at least
it can happen.
win it. I mean, but like my record's like
I'm Silverback.
I have like 10 overtime losses though. Like
you don't have a lot of overtime losses.
Yeah, if we go hockey rules, you're probably in second.
Yeah, you're right.
With points and shit. Yeah. Like we should do that for the next 25 episodes. Like points. I'd be right there next to Jay.
Leaderboard is a little more complicated to keep track of. All right, John's 1, 1, and 8.
Well, that's Stump the Squad. Let us know what you guys think about the questions, gentlemen. Any final thoughts before we go into championship weekend and week 13 of the NFL season?
Going to be interesting to see.
Can Bama actually win this weekend?
I hope not.
Milroe needs to calm down. I think next year he'll probably be in contention for a Heisman, but relax. You guys were down there, and that was a pretty lucky throw he threw. So he just threw it up there. It wasn't. So what?
I want to shout out Matt Canada. Steelers finally got over 400 yards immediately when that man was escorted off the premises. Just want to shout out my buddy Matt.
Right, it's almost like you were right.
Yeah.
First game in what, 5 years that you guys had 400 yards?
38 games.
It only took an entire tenure of him there and him leaving, and literally 4 days later.
It was 58 games, right? 58
games.
Well, 5 years.
It literally took him 4 days for them to figure out how to get to 400 yards.
Crazy part is they made the playoffs a couple of those years. So, yes, make sure you tune into the championship. We got all sports rolling right now. NHL, NBA, college football, college basketball is heating up. And we have the NFL. So make sure you guys tune in. We'll be here next week for episode Ocho. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll see you here next week, guys. Cinco Squad out.
The Ocho.
The Ocho, baby.